Before talking about this film, could you share how to tell a story which is about human being and internet? How to link up a message, an email, even emoji to tell the people's emotions and actions in their life without making any boring scenes.
Thank you. So, Aneesh and I wrote the movie together, right? We wrote Searching as screenwriters, and he directed it and I produced it. And when we were coming up with the idea for Searching, we watched a lot of other movies that featured the internet. And one thing that we found was no other movie really showed the internet the real way it was. Oftentimes it would be kind of portrayed as something that was really bad, or that it was just something that didn't work. And oftentimes when they would show websites, it would always be like very fake, and you could just tell it wasn't made by people who use it every day. Because Searching is a story about a father trying to find his missing daughter, it was really important to us that the movie was emotional and grounded and realistic. If you didn't really believe the characters, then you wouldn't be feeling the thrills and the suspense. So all of that meant that when we were designing our story and featuring technology and the internet, our goal was to make it feel as realistic, more realistic than ever before. At its core, the movie talks about the fact that in today's world, we are all so connected with each other, with our devices, with our software, with our social media. There's never been a time on this planet that human beings could be more connected. But what if we could tell a story about a father and a daughter who were disconnected? And that kind of was our inspiration. And in the writing of the movie, like, it was important for us to show that as David Kim, went onto his daughter's laptop to try and find information about where she was, he learned something, that he didn't lose his daughter days ago, he lost his daughter years ago. And we kept all of that in mind as we were designing Searching. Hopefully it worked out, and hopefully the audiences like it. I think they have.
How do you combine all the clues into those apps, Google Map, live streaming, e-banking? Have you ever encountered some out-of-focus moment of the track?
Yeah. Oh, I love that question. Okay. So Searching at its core is a mystery. As you're watching the movie, you want to know what happened to Margot. Where did Margot go, right? That's the main mission that David has, and that's what the audiences are going to be thinking. And part of what makes any good mystery movie, in my opinion, is that there have to be clues. We wanted the audience to be playing along with David Kim. The fun of watching the movie as if it's happening on a computer screen in front of you is that you are also David Kim, and it's up to you to find Margot. So one of the things that we would always do to kind of have fun is sometimes we would hide clues in plain sight. As people are watching the movie, if they're really paying attention, things are happening in the corners of the screen. Sometimes we're like a magician, right? Magicians, they do this thing where they go like this, but with this hand, they're actually doing something. So if you're watching Searching and you're watching the mouse, sometimes that means we're trying to get you to not look over there. I think part of what makes the movie so fun for audiences and what we have found is that people have seen the movie multiple times in movies. They've paid to see it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, I swear, because some of the experience is that you get to watch it again, and now you get to see everything that you missed the first time. So yeah, to us, hopefully audiences enjoy that part of the movie. I know we do, for sure.
Have you ever considered this film to make it as a usual feature film?
No. When we came up with the idea for Searching, it was an 8-minute short film. Oh. Very small. Because we never wanted to make a movie that would be happening on computers. That sounded like a horrible idea to us. But we presented the project as a short film, and then the financiers asked us, they told us they didn't want to make it as a short, and they're like, hey, Sev, you can produce it, Aneesh, you can direct it, you guys can both write it, and we'll pay for all the money. What do you say? And I was like, oh my god, that's amazing, but Aneesh said no. And I was like, dude, are you kidding me? This is an amazing opportunity. But Aneesh's concern, which I shared, is that telling a story on these screens and devices, it's kind of gimmicky. It's kind of cheap. People may not respond to that kind of story. And we didn't want to tell that kind of story. We wanted to tell a story that would be really human and emotional and realistic. And then one day Aneesh and I both came up with the idea for the opening scene of the movie together. And the opening, if you've seen it, is this 5 minutes that's kind of like you see an entire childhood over the course of, as seen on a computer And we realized that this, even though it's going to happen on screens and it's going to be a whole movie, we can do it in a way that will be emotional and people will care about the characters, and most importantly, our goal was that after 5 minutes, audiences would forget that what they're watching is happening on screens.
Oh, so as an Asian, I'm curious about why setting Asian family background at this film? What is the reason make the story set inside an Asian family, not white, not black? What's the and the point is the way of communication in most of Asian families is not so expressive, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So is it your settings to make this point to develop the story?
Amazing. I love that question. Great observation. When I was growing up, I'm Armenian. I'm Armenian American. I grew up in America, but I'm Armenian. Aneesh is Indian. He grew up in America, so he's Indian American. We loved watching movies, and we love watching thrillers and action movies. We love watching all movies, but specifically when you watch a thriller in America, it's never a character that looks like me or Aneesh or any of our friends. And I believe that there should be movies made that are about ethnicity, that are about race, that are about being Asian, that are about being Armenian or Indian. Searching is not one of those movies. We believe that there should also be movies made that are just about families. David Kim is a father. He happens to be Asian, but he's a father, and his daughter is his daughter, and the story is about a father and a daughter. And for us, every time our financiers would tell us or ask us, why are they Asian, why are they Korean, our only response was, why not? And because John Cho is an amazing actor, he's a movie star, and the fact that we could tell the story and it could look like people who everyone knows in their real lives, it was even more important to us to do that. And I hope that in 10 years, if people ever look back at our movie, I hopefully will go, what was the big deal? Because our goal is that by showing people that look like you and me in movies, it'll become normal and it won't be a big deal anymore. And I love the observation that because they're Asian, it kind of is a commentary on how Asian parents and kids are not very expressive, so they use their computers. I think that's amazing because we say the same thing about Armenian parents, and Aneesh says the same thing about Indian parents. It's not related. What's funny is a lot of my Asian friends have said that they love the movie, but there's one major problem with the movie, that it's very unrealistic because even though they're Asian, they're wearing shoes inside the house. So I don't know if that is your family or not, but you know whose fault that is? That's John Cho's fault. He should have fixed that in the script.
Let's talk about John Cho. He's a well-experienced actor, of course, but any obstacle for him to act in this film? No body language and even no interact with other actors. So how to make him comfortable in this film?
Was there challenges for John Cho to act in this movie? Yes. I mean, John is an incredible actor. He has amazing years of experience. And honestly, I don't know how anyone else would have done what he did in this film, but it was not easy. Because, you know, the way we shot the movie was we had a laptop that had a camera stuck on top of it, and the laptop was sometimes off, and sometimes it would be showing on a tiny little window what, you know, on a different room, what another actor was doing. And he was tremendous. I mean, this movie lives and dies based on John Cho's performance. My favorite thing is, despite the fact that he was never really acting against other people, despite the fact that half the time he was stuck in a small room staring at a blank screen, his emotions are so powerful. I mean, the little things he does, his eyes moving left to right, his shaking, over the course of the movie, you're watching a parent descending into madness. He's starting to go crazy with everything that he's learning about his daughter, and John is beautifully performing that. And if it wasn't for his performance, I think the exact reason that Aneesh didn't want to make this movie in the first place was that it would be a gimmick, it would be cheap, I think would have been true. But because we have a very strong actor like John, who brought so much emotion to the part, you are able to focus on him and his pain and his love for his daughter. I mean, I can't say enough good things about John. I mean, he really gave us a very big gift when he came on board this project. What I love about the movie and what I love about Deborah Messing's performance is if you ever watch the movie a second time, you can see that she's really hurting. And she's trying to make David feel better about it. She's always trying to, like, tell him it's not your fault. It's never your fault. And, like, you know, she wants David to think his daughter ran away because in her mind, at least David can think maybe his daughter is happy somewhere else. And it's a huge credit again to Deborah. And hopefully audiences could leave the movie theater debating, talking with their friends, arguing, fighting, agreeing about whether or not, you know, she did the right thing and maybe would you do the right thing. But hopefully you could see that in one case you have a parent who didn't know his daughter enough, and maybe in another case you have a parent who maybe thinks she knows her son more than she should have. And yeah, I mean, you nailed it. That's exactly it. I mean, it's probably one of the funnest parts of watching Searching is that as the hunt for Margot to find Margot gets bigger and the news gets involved, everyone in the community starts commenting on it. And we start to see friends of Margot's who really were like, I'm not that close to her, are now posting videos saying she was my best friend. It is 100% a commentary on what really happens, you know? But at the same time, it was not a matter of us trying to, like, have an agenda. Because I think we do a good job of showing the bad side of the internet like that. But at the same time, it's because of technology and it's because of the internet that David is able to find his daughter anyway. We're trying to show both sides of it. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone probably knows people who are like the friends of Margot, who are saying those things because they're trying to get more likes on social media, they're trying to get more popular. It's just, unfortunately, the reality of what happens in these cases, and like I mentioned, it was really important to us to make the movie very realistic, and we couldn't ignore that. And as far as traditional media, by the way, one of the reasons in the movie we start showing more and more media was that because the movie takes place on screens, we wanted to let the movie evolve over time. As you watch it, right when you start to get bored or used to what's happening, we do something different. Now David is on Margot's computer, now there's other friends. And then when you get bored of that, now he's in the news. And we're watching the news as it's being streamed on computers. So we're not really watching TV, but like, you know, the news websites. And it kind of allows the world to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But as the story is getting bigger by scale, the goal is that people are noticing that David is getting closer to finding out who his daughter really is. So hopefully that really worked.
Oh, great. So the last question is, would you write another positive version about positive side of the internet, the comedy version about internet?
That's a good question. I think for now, Aneesh and I do not want to write anything about the internet. We're kind of sick of it. It was a lot, you know, writing this movie took us several months, directing and producing this movie took us several years, and, you know...
So only film editing is takes 2 years, right?
It took us 1.5 years to edit the movie, which is way too long. It only took us 13 days to shoot it. But I'll tell you something. Our next movie, we're about to start shooting it next month, and it's a thriller. It does not take place on screens. It's about a mother and a daughter, and the daughter finds out that her mom's been keeping secrets from her. At one point in the movie, the daughter goes on the computer at home to try and find information. And when she does that, the internet is disconnected, which is kind of our joke as saying, we're not doing that again. So anyway, hope you guys appreciate that when you see that movie in a year.
Okay, so I will wait for that.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Do you want me to say like my name or anything like that or like I'm Sev Ohanian, co-writer, producer, or that's okay? You don't need that.
Okay. Let's introduce.
Okay,
yourself.
and what's your channel's name again? Sorry.
Cultureon.com. Cultureon.
Let me pull up the business card. Culture On. Okay, cool. Yes. All right. Hey, I'm Sev Ohanian, co-writer and producer of Searching, and I'm really excited to be chatting with Edgy here on CultureOn.com.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. That was fun. Great questions.
Thank you.